Hello everyone, this is Crypto BitLaw, here with your blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss how the Department of Justice recently charged the creators of an NFT project that was based on the Ethereum blockchain over an alleged rug pull. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this content, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. And with that said, let's jump right on in. Okay, so here we can see Decrypt reports that the U.S. Justice Department charges Ethereum NFT project creators over a alleged rug pull. The alleged creators of the Frosties NFT project, a well-known rug pull, were charged with wire fraud and money laundering. And here we could see are some screenshots of the Frosties NFT. And the skinny on this is that the U.S. Justice Department has charged a pair of 20-year-olds for allegedly defrauding buyers of an NFT project. Ethan Nguyen and Andre Llacuna are the alleged creators of Embers, a project that launched in January. They say so-called NFT rug pulls or scams hurt buyers who invest their money into hot new projects. But the pseudo-anonymous nature of the crypto space doesn't mean that alleged scammers can always disappear without consequences, as a pair of NFT creators have discovered. Today, the United States Justice Department announced that it has charged a pair of 20-year-olds, Ethan Nguyen and Andre Llacuna, with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering over the Frosties NFT project. Nguyen, also known as Frosty and other pseudonyms, and Llacuna, Hey Andre is his pseudonym, are the alleged creators of Frosties, an Ethereum NFT project that held its mint in January. After selling through the 8,888 NFTs and banking about $1.1 million worth of ETH in the process, the creators closed down the project's Discord channel and disappeared with the funds. A quote, rug pull refers to such instances in which the project's creators sell NFTs based on false promises of future benefits and utility, but then vanish with the funds instead. Typically, the NFTs lose significant value as a result, given the little likelihood of future benefit to come. Frosties start at just 0.001 ETH, or about $3 on the OpenSea secondary market now. They originally sold for 0.04 ETH, which was about $112 at the time of minting. This is the first known case of the Department of Justice charging NFT creators with alleged conspiracy to defraud buyers, a potential landmark case in the rising NFT industry, which generated some $25 billion in total trading volume in 2020 alone. Quote, NFTs have been around for several years, but recently mainstream interest has skyrocketed, said U.S. Attorney Damian Williams in a release. Where there is money to be made, fraudsters will look for ways to steal it. As we allege, Mr. Nguyen and Mr. Llacuna promised investors the benefit of the Frosties NFTs, but when it sold out, they pulled the rug out from under the victims, almost immediately shutting down the website and transferring the money, he continued. Our job as prosecutors and law enforcement is to protect investors from swindlers looking for a payday. Nguyen and Llacuna were arrested in Los Angeles, and according to the prosecutors, the alleged scammers were about to launch a second project called Embers. The Ethereum-based project of 5,555 profile pictures was due to launch on or around March 26th, with a potential payday of more than $1.5 million worth of Ethereum at the time if the mint had sold out. Each individual was charged with one count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, with a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison for each offense. So turning now to the Southern District of New York, and I'm not surprised that this came out of the SDNY because that is the hub in the DOJ for prosecuting the majority of financial crimes, as New York is, I guess, widely considered the financial epicenter of the world. And so this district covers Manhattan, Wall Street, all of the major monetary hubs within New York City. So as we can see here is a copy of the press release for the charges against these defendants, and it just kind of gives a brief overview. Here I thought it was interesting. They actually define a rug pull And they say that it refers to a scenario where the creator of an NFT or gaming project solicits an investment and then abruptly abandons a project and fraudulently retains the project investor's funds. And then further down here, we could see, I was surprised by this, these two defendants, Nguyen and Llacuna, or Llacuna, whatever, they're only 20 years old. I mean, these dudes are just kids in my mind. But I mean, now they're facing violations of 18 USC Section 1349 and 1956 Section H, which each carry a maximum prison sentence of 20 years. So let's do a deeper dive here. I know that in one section right here is a copy of the complaint that was linked. So let's turn over here, and here we could see the complaint that was filed against them. And right here we could see that they're alleging violations of 18 USC sections 1349 and 1956H. And if we want to see what those are, what the government has to prove, we could pull those up right here. So here it's 1349, and it's attempt and conspiracy, and it states that any person who attempts or conspires to commit any offense under this chapter shall be subject to the same penalties as those prescribed for the offense, the commission of which was the object of the attempt or conspiracy. So it says, hey, if you attempt or conspire to commit any of these offenses in this entire chapter, chapter 63, we're going to get you. So let's take a look at chapter 63 and see all the possible offenses. We have frauds and swindles. It covers mail fraud and other offenses. Fraud and swindles, fictitious name or address, bank fraud, healthcare fraud, securities and commodities fraud, attempt and conspiracy, which we just went over, failure to cooperate with officers to certify financial reports, and fraud and labor. I think under frauds and swindles, we would probably have a better definition. Whoever having devised or intended to devise any scheme or artifice to defraud or for obtaining money or property by means of false fraudulent pretenses, representations, promises, or to sell, dispose of, loan, exchange, alter, give away, so on and so forth, or the unlawful use of any counterfeit, obligation, security, so on and so forth. I mean, I'll just summarize this. This is a very broad definition for what a fraud or a swindle is. So an attempt or a conspiracy to commit any of these acts would result in a conviction. And we all know what an attempt is, but a conspiracy involves two or more persons, and one of them commits an overt act towards the commission of that underlying goal. So all you have two or more people, because they charge these two individuals, Nguyen and Llacuna, and all it requires is one of those individuals to commit an overt act towards committing this fraud, and then you have a conspiracy. And I think that there's no doubt that there was an attempt. I actually think that they probably did it, but that's just my personal opinion. And so if we turn to the other law, so just remember, before we turn to the other law, all the government has to do is prove the elements of these crimes, which we have laid out. And if they can do that, then these defendants will be convicted. But what I foresee is they will probably present a plea deal on the table for these defendants, say, hey, if you plead guilty to these crimes or a lesser included offense, I don't know, I haven't done the research on lesser includeds with regards to these particular crimes, but let's just say even if they plead guilty, they will provide a suggested sentencing range and maybe say, hey, we'll suggest to the court that you only get 1 year or 2 years in probation or, a year and a fine, whatever that combination sentence would be as part of the plea arrangement. And so over here we could see the other crime that they're charged with, 18 USC 1956, section 1956, laundering of monetary instruments. And it states, whoever, knowing that the property involved in a financial transaction represents the proceeds of some form of unlawful activity, conducts or attempts to conduct such a financial transaction which in fact involves the proceeds of specified unlawful activity with the intent to promote the carrying on or of specified unlawful activity or with the intent to engage, yada, yada, yada. If we scroll down to section 8, H, we could see down here, any person who conspires to commit any offense defined in this section or section 1957 shall be subject to the same penalties as those prescribed for the offense, the commission of which was the object of the conspiracy. So this entire section, which is so broad, I mean, any offense here, they got you. So It's not looking good for these two defendants. I think that they are in a pickle, and they the DOJ more likely than not has the leverage against them to force a plea deal. So, in conclusion, I think that this is a good job on the DOJ. I think that if these rug pulling scammers out there in the industry, NFTs or blockchains or just digital assets in general, are more aware of the consequences of their fraudulent actions and of their nefarious deeds, they will be less likely to engage in such activity. I think that this is a good move on the DOJ's part to hold these criminals and these scammers accountable. And I think that the people that are in a similar position to do this will think twice before they actually go through with it, like the NFT Factory LA people, or just other creators of level 1 chains or fraudulent ERC20 type tokens, or just any sort of digital asset project in general. I think that this right here sends a very clear message to these types of people that the government is looking for you, and they will find you if you engage in this type of activity, and they will hold you accountable. As a former prosecutor myself, I went through this type of thing all the time, and I think that it's a good move in the right direction that the DOJ is looking to hold these people accountable. And I think, as I said earlier, that they're going to get either their conviction or a plea deal. I think that it's probably more likely that the defendants will plead guilty because it seems, based on what I see, that's the beauty of the blockchain. Everything is transparent. Everything is on chain. You can't undo what has already been done. All of the evidence is there. And they have their identities. They have the records that they pulled the Discord, these defendants did, that they yanked the website, and they just ran with the funds. So they have the paper trail there. It's all in black and white on the blockchain. And they have their identities, and they link them to it. So the DOJ has these defendants dead to rights. And it's the same sort of situation with most, if not all, of these NFT digital asset related frauds, scams, and rug pulls. So this is going to set a very, very, very important precedent for future scams to come. And so I applaud the DOJ's work here. Looking forward to see many more of these types of prosecutions in this industry in general. So with that said, I'll get off my soapbox, and I hope you guys enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that, as we hope to grow this channel and provide more content for you. And with that said, thanks again for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.